So we've made it to the end of What If, which means it's time for me to sit down and rank all 9 episodes from my least favorite to my favorite. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking all the episodes of What If. The show just ended. It went from August to October. It's crazy that it's already over, but the next watch party will be for Hawkeye, so we've got a while to go till the next Marvel show. But before I give you guys my ranking of the episodes, definitely hit the like button, comment your ranking of the episodes down below, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future reviews, rankings, all that good stuff. So coming in last place for me is the first episode, which focuses on Captain Carter. Now, I'm not a fan of this episode because it's literally just a retelling of Captain America, the First Avenger, with Captain Carter in the place of Steve Rogers. That doesn't really do much for me because, yes, it's cool to see characters like Bucky in side roles, and of course Red Skull and Artem Zola, but at the end of the day, there's nothing fresh or unique to this episode as opposed to the others, so because of that, it just falls really flat, and I don't really enjoy this one as much as the others. Next up for me is going to be episode 6, which is What If Killmonger Saved Tony Stark? Now, I'm not a massive fan of Killmonger. I've made this known on the channel before. I think that he's kind of just irritating, and he's always conniving and trying to plot against other people. That's literally what he does in the entirety of this episode. Multiple of our main favorite Avengers go down and die in this episode, so that upset me. I'm not a fan of seeing Tony Stark die over and over again. At the end of the day, this episode just didn't do much for me. It fell flat when it comes to having a unique, creative concept that really is worth 30 minutes of your time, and it didn't really have that. I liked the ending with Black Panther. I think he had a nice little monologue quote at the end there. Next up for me is going to be episode 7, which is the Party Thor episode. Now, I thought this was funny for about the first 5 minutes, and then it just fell flat for me. Like, I get it. We've got to see a bunch of these characters drinking and partying in Las Vegas. It's not something we would normally see in a movie. But at the end of the day, the episode just was that. It was a comedic episode that didn't really hit home with any serious dramatic issues. And while that could be a nice change of pace for some people, overall, the episode was just a comedy that wasn't that funny. The end was crazy. It set up something that would obviously be a 2-part finale in episodes 8 and 9. So next for me is going to be episode 2, which is T'Challa as Star-Lord. I like this concept a lot. It's something that's very different from some of the other stuff we had seen. Of course, the main draw of this episode is seeing Chadwick Boseman, one of his last appearances as the character T'Challa. It was heartbreaking just because obviously the situation that happened, we all miss him so much, and he loved the role so much, so it's great that we got to see him bring that passion to it one more time. But it's also heartwarming because it's like he got to play this character one last time in a format that we had never seen animated, so I really like that aspect of it. What they did with Thanos here was really cool. He's kind of just chilling, being a good guy, and the Collector is almost the big bad villain of this episode, so it's really cool to see what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy characters, incorporating a T'Challa Star-Lord in that story. This episode works for me. This is where they start to get a little better than the ones that I have mentioned before. Next up for me is going to be episode 3, which is basically what I call the Avengers Whodunit, or the Avengers Murder Mystery, where a bunch of our main original Avengers are getting picked off one by one, and we're trying to figure out who done it the entire time. I was on the edge of my seat for most of this episode, and when they finally reveal who the killer is, it turns out to be Hank Pym. That was just a twist I didn't see coming at all. I think this episode works as well because it shows that this TV show has guts, unlike the movies, because obviously in the movies, we're not going to see Black Widow, Hulk, Iron Man get killed in one movie. In this TV show, they can kill these characters, and that's something I like about What If, is the stakes are sort of raised because they can have so much fun with it. It's just one little branch of the multiverse that obviously doesn't come true in the live action timeline. So that's something that I think is a pro for What If, is we get to see these main characters die, something we usually don't get to see in the main movies. So next up for me is actually the season finale, which is where the Watcher actually breaks his oath and interferes. Now, this episode was set up to be amazing and an epic finale, and it wasn't that. It was still a solid finale, but it kind of fell flat in my opinion because episode 8 had massive stakes. It set up everything to possibly affect the entire multiverse and the entire universe, and that's not what this finale did. Like, by the end of the episode, everyone just goes back to their respective universe, so the multiverse didn't really have that many ripples sent through it like we all thought it would. I do like the action, and it's cool to see the Guardians of the Multiverse team up as we got to finally have some continuity with the entire through line of What If. We get to see every character from the episode come together and form like an Avengers Guardians of the Galaxy team. Other than that, though, this episode was all right. I think it could have been a little bit better. There is a post-credit scene, which I thought was cool, but it was kind of unnecessary because, again, Captain Carter being front and center in a lot of this show just never really made sense to me. Not the biggest fan of her character, but I will say, I think it did a good job of tying a nice bow on season 1 of What If. So next is going to be episode 4, which deals with Doctor Strange Supreme. This is a very creative concept and easily the darkest episode of the show. Seeing Doctor Strange, a character that we know and love, kind of spiral into insanity and just continue to become more evil is something that really works for me. And then getting to see evil Doctor Strange versus the good Doctor Strange fight at the end is mind-boggling. And the final shot, where he's kind of trapped in his own universe and everyone around him is dead, is very dark, but it's powerful, and it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, unlike a lot of these episodes for What If. My runner-up is going to be episode 5, which deals with the zombies. Now, what I love about this is that it brings back a ton of the MCU characters such as Spider-Man, Vision, Bucky. We get to see a ton of different branches of these characters come together, and some of them are zombies and some of them are survivors. And this is a creative ass concept. It's something that deserves its own show, either live action or animated. I think that would work. Just a zombie apocalypse alone is a concept that a lot of people's minds like to just explore if they're daydreaming, like The Walking Dead and Zombieland, and all these different zombie IPs are already massive. So if you combine that with the powerhouse that is the MCU, it's kind of a match made in heaven. And I think that these what if scenarios could be endless for this concept. So it's something that I would love to see happen in a movie or show down the road. And the ending with Zombie Thanos is one of the most memorable shots in the entire show. I hope we get a part 2 to this episode because it's probably one of the most entertaining. But my personal favorite episode of What If is episode 8, What If Ultron Won? Right out of the gate, we get to see Ultron kill Thanos and cement himself as this extremely powerful villain. Something that I never thought we would see in an episode of What If. But the crazy part about this is the Watcher actually has to come out and fight this version of Ultron. So we get to see the Watcher in a hand-to-hand combat duel. It looks like something out of Infinity War when it comes to just the way they're using their powers against each other. And it, for a moment in time when the episode came out, possibly set up the idea of what if characters appearing in the actual live action MCU, which would have been completely mind-boggling. So this episode had a monumental influence right when it came out. It raised the stakes going into that finale, and it's my favorite and most entertaining episode. We also get to see a great callback to Endgame with Nat and Clint having a nice friendship, and of course their roles become reversed in that when it comes to who dies. So this episode is very, very creative, very unique, and it honestly is the most mind-boggling of them all, which is why it's my favorite. But that's gonna do it for my ranking of all 9 episodes of What If. Definitely hit the like button again. Comment your ranking down below. I want to talk about this in the comments. Did you like What If? Is it your favorite or least favorite show? Where does it rank in the other Marvel Disney Plus shows? Let's have a conversation about that. Stay tuned for more Marvel content and movie reviews coming very soon, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.